Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Um, today we're diving deep into a topic that's incredibly relevant, especially as we think about the future. Using gold IRAs is a powerful tool for your long-term care planning.
It's an interesting angle for sure. Most people associate retirement planning with, well, retirement. But the reality is that those golden years can come with unexpected healthcare costs that can really impact your savings and even your legacy goals.
That's exactly right. And as healthcare costs continue to rise, it's more important than ever to consider how to protect your assets and ensure you have the resources you need for quality care. That's where gold IRAs come in.
Now, before we jump into the specifics, maybe we should take a step back and explain what a gold IRA actually is. It's not just a regular IRA with a fancy name, is it?
Definitely not.
Hmm.
It's similar to a traditional IRA in that you get those great tax benefits, but instead of holding stocks and bonds, a gold IRA lets you hold physical gold and other precious metals. We're talking silver, platinum, palladium, things that have held value for centuries.
That's the key difference right there, that tangible asset. Gold has historically been a safe haven during times of economic uncertainty. Having a portion of your retirement savings in a gold IRA can provide a level of diversification and protection that traditional IRAs may lack, especially during times of inflation.
And if you're thinking about exploring this option, we've got a free checklist over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive that can help you choose the right gold IRA company. It's packed with tips, and we highly recommend checking it out. But for now, let's focus on why this type of IRA is becoming so popular when it comes to planning for long-term care.
One word: inflation. We all hear about it, but healthcare costs in particular have been outpacing general inflation for years.
Yeah, it's scary to think about. You work so hard to build a comfortable nest egg, and then suddenly you're facing sky-high medical bills that could wipe it all out.
Exactly. And this is where gold's historical performance becomes so relevant. It's consistently outperformed paper assets like stocks and bonds during inflationary periods. This means that by holding gold in your IRA, you're potentially safeguarding your savings against the erosive effects of inflation, especially when it comes to those rising healthcare costs.
It's like a built-in safety net.
Yeah.
You're not just hoping for the best with the stock market. You've got this solid, tangible asset that's been a store of value for centuries.
And it's important to note that gold IRAs are incredibly liquid. When you need those funds for long-term care, you can easily access them without having to jump through a lot of hoops.
So it's both a hedge against inflation and readily available when you need it. Sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, it's important to remember that, like any investment, there are complexities and potential downsides. But when it comes to long-term care planning, especially if you're concerned about protecting your assets from inflation, gold IRAs are definitely worth a closer look.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential of gold to safeguard your savings from inflation. But another big concern for a lot of people is Medicaid eligibility. It can be a complex process, right?
It absolutely can be. Medicaid has strict asset requirements, and many people worry that their hard-earned savings will disqualify them from receiving the assistance they need.
And how do gold IRAs fit into that picture? Can they actually help someone qualify for Medicaid?
Yes, they can. Now, it requires careful planning and working with knowledgeable professionals. But strategically integrating a gold IRA into your estate plan can be crucial.
I'm all ears. What would that look like?
Well, one approach is structuring your IRA distributions in a way that preserves your assets while still meeting Medicaid's requirements. Remember, the tax-deferred growth within the gold IRA allows your wealth to accumulate more quickly, which can be a significant advantage here.
So you're saying that by making strategic choices about when and how you take distributions from your gold IRA, you can potentially stay below those Medicaid asset limits. That's amazing.
That's the idea. And here's where it gets really interesting. When held correctly, gold IRAs are not considered part of the spend-down process for Medicaid eligibility.
Wait, so you're telling me that having a gold IRA could actually protect a portion of my savings if I need to qualify for Medicaid? That seems like a game changer for people worried about long-term care costs.
It can be a powerful tool when used strategically. But let's shift gears a bit and talk about how gold IRAs can impact your legacy planning.
You mean passing on my wealth to my children and grandchildren? I admit I'm much more focused on making sure I have enough to cover my own expenses, but I guess I do need to think about that too.
It's something many people put off, but it's important to consider. And gold IRAs offer some unique advantages when it comes to estate planning. For instance, they allow your heirs to inherit tangible assets that have historically held their value.
So instead of passing on stocks or bonds that could fluctuate with the market, they'd inherit physical gold. I can see how that would provide a sense of security, especially during uncertain times.
Exactly. And there's a tax advantage as well. When inheriting a gold IRA, your beneficiaries receive a stepped-up basis.
Hold on, stepped up basis, you've lost me.
Sorry, that's a bit of financial jargon. Essentially, it means that the value of the inherited gold is adjusted to its market value at the time of inheritance rather than its original purchase price. This can potentially reduce their tax liabilities on the inherited gold.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So lower taxes for my heirs.
Hmm.
I like that. Are there any other advantages when it comes to his estate planning?
Well, gold IRAs, like other IRAs, can help you avoid probate.
Remind me what probate is again.
Probate is the legal process of administering a deceased person's estate. It can be time-consuming and expensive. But by designating beneficiaries for your gold IRA, you can ensure that those assets pass directly to your loved ones without going through probate court.
Sounds like a win-win. Less hassle for my family and potentially fewer taxes.
Exactly. It's all about planning ahead. Now we've talked about protecting your savings from inflation and ensuring a smooth transition of assets to your loved ones. But sometimes life throws curveballs, and you may need to access your retirement funds sooner than expected, even for those unexpected healthcare expenses.
I can definitely see that happening. What if I need to cover a major medical expense or the cost of assisted living? Wouldn't it be difficult to access funds in a gold IRA? I always thought they were pretty locked in.
That's a common misconception. While gold IRAs are primarily for retirement, they can be liquidated if needed. And here's the advantage. Even if the market is going through a downturn, gold tends to hold its value.
So the money I get from liquidating my gold IRA will likely have more buying power than if I had to sell stocks or bonds in a volatile market.
Precisely. That peace of mind can be invaluable, especially when you're facing unexpected healthcare challenges. Gold's stability as a safe haven asset really shines in those situations. It's a solid backup plan.
Okay, this is all starting to make a lot of sense. But I have to admit, I'm still wrapping my head around how gold IRAs compare to the more traditional IRAs I'm used to hearing about. What are the biggest differences?
The most obvious difference, as we've touched on, is the asset class. Traditional IRAs typically hold paper assets like stocks and bonds, whereas gold IRAs hold physical gold and other precious metals. And as we've discussed, this difference can have significant implications for how your savings perform during inflation and market volatility.
Right, it's like diversifying beyond the stock market. Instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you're adding a different kind of asset, one that has a long history of holding its value.
Exactly. And that historical performance is key. For example, during the stagflation of the 1970s, when stocks and bonds struggled, gold prices soared, it provided a safe haven for investors during a time of economic uncertainty.
So having a portion of my retirement savings in a gold IRA could potentially act as a buffer during times of economic turmoil. That's pretty reassuring.
That's the idea. And remember, we talked about the tax advantages earlier. Those apply whether you're holding your gold IRA for the long term or need to liquidate it for any reason.
Speaking of choosing the right gold IRA, we could probably remind our listeners about the checklist you mentioned earlier, right?
Absolutely. It's important to do your research and choose a reputable company. There are a lot of options out there, and not all are created equal.
And that's where our free checklist comes in handy. You can find it over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It outlines the key factors you should be looking for in a gold IRA company, like fees, storage options, and customer service.
It's a great resource for anyone who's considering adding a gold IRA to their retirement portfolio. You want to make sure you're working with a company you can trust.
So as we start to wrap things up, could you give us a quick recap of the key benefits of a gold IRA, especially when it comes to long-term care planning?
Of course, I think one of the biggest takeaways is the potential of a gold IRA to protect your savings from healthcare inflation. As we've discussed, healthcare costs are rising faster than ever, and gold has historically been a reliable hedge against inflation.
So it's not just about retirement anymore. It's about protecting your assets so you can afford quality care if you need it.
Exactly. And the tax advantages, especially in relation to Medicaid eligibility, are another key benefit. The tax-deferred growth and the fact that gold IRAs, when held correctly, are not counted in the Medicaid spend-down process can be a huge relief for those concerned about qualifying for assistance.
And we can't forget about estate planning. The ability to pass on a tangible asset like gold, which has historically held its value over generations, can provide peace of mind, not just for you, but for your loved ones as well. It's like a legacy you can actually hold in your hand.
You put that perfectly. Gold's enduring value and its ability to transcend generations is a powerful aspect of its appeal.
And as we discussed, even though it's meant for long-term savings, you can access the funds in your gold IRA if you need to cover unexpected long-term care expenses. Having that flexibility and knowing that gold tends to maintain its value even in uncertain markets is a huge plus.
It's all about having a well-rounded plan, and gold IRAs offer a unique set of benefits that can be incredibly beneficial for those long-term care needs.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today, but is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they consider a gold IRA as part of their long-term care planning?
I think the most important thing is to remember that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Every individual situation is different, and it's crucial to do your research and consult with a financial advisor who specializes in this area. They can help you determine if a gold IRA is right for you and guide you through the process of setting one up and managing it effectively.
That's such an important point. A financial advisor can help you look at the big picture, your income, your assets, your healthcare needs, and help you create a personalized plan that aligns with your goals. This is not a DIY project, right?
Definitely not. There are complexities involved, from choosing the right custodian and storage options to understanding the tax implications and distribution strategies. Working with a professional who knows the ins and outs of gold IRAs can save you a lot of headaches down the road.
So before we wrap up, what's a thought-provoking question we can leave our listeners with? Something that will make them really consider how a gold IRA could impact their future.
How about this? If you could safeguard your savings from the uncertainties of the future while also creating a lasting legacy for your loved ones, wouldn't you want to explore every option available to you?
That's a powerful question, and it really underscores the potential of gold IRAs. They offer a way to protect your assets, ensure your access to quality long-term care, and leave a legacy of financial stability for your family.
It's about taking control of your future. And sometimes that means thinking outside the traditional box of stocks and bonds and exploring alternative assets like gold.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, and the more informed you are, the better decisions you can make for yourself and your family.
I couldn't agree more. I hope our listeners feel empowered to take that next step, to do their research, speak with a financial advisor, and consider if a gold IRA is right for them.
And don't forget, we've got that free checklist over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive to help you navigate the process of choosing the right gold IRA company.
It's a valuable resource packed with tips and insights to help you make an informed decision.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. This has been a truly fascinating deep dive into the world of gold IRAs and their role in long-term care planning.
It's been my pleasure. I always enjoy these conversations, and I hope our listeners found it informative and helpful as they plan for their future.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey. We hope you learned something new today and feel inspired to take control of your financial well-being. Until next time, take care.